ultimately, you get to decide for yourself how you want to move forward as long as you are committed to changing your life, to finding happiness, to being fulfilled. It is possible. There is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There really is.
Hi, welcome to Starve the Demon, where we believe in recovery by any means necessary. I'm Jenna, and I'm glad that you're here. If you're new, please subscribe, hit the notification button, drop a comment, and share it with somebody who needs it. We're not here to talk about the misery of addiction. We're here to learn about the joys and freedom that comes with recovery. I have a very special guest today. This is Gina Marie, the creator of the Colorful Clearing Method, and she is going to tell us all about it. Hi, Gina. Welcome to Starve the Demon.
Hello, I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so grateful to have you after speaking with you and hearing about what you do and how you care. I can't wait for you to tell me. I'm not even going to say, I'm going to let you tell it. It's just fabulous. So I'm going to ask you some questions and we'll see where it rolls. Gina, what was your experience with addiction?
So I have experienced addiction in two different ways. One, I am the sister of an addict who actually died of a drug overdose about 2 years ago. It's one of those things where, you accompany someone on that journey, and it was over 20 years that he suffered with that. And then on the flip side, while I never really sought drugs outside of a prescription, my body was physically addicted. Some really strong medications for a lot of years. And there are a lot of doctors out there, of course, that don't necessarily practice what I feel is ethical practice. And they sometimes are in it for the money and just push medication on people. And I feel like I was a victim to that. So I really found myself in this weird kind of cycle of seeing an addict who was going over here, but yet I'm addicted to the same medication. Like, it was just crazy. It was wild to experience that.
I tell you, that's why we have an opioid crisis in this country now, because of doctors handing it out like water. Let's give the benefit of the doubt that they didn't understand what was happening. I hate to think that there are people in the medical community that are just doing things for the money. I'm not going to say that, but y'all know what I think. Did you ever try a traditional 12-step program like AA or NA?
I did not.
Okay.
And I believe that I never really mentally did adopt the mindset that I knew I was physically addicted, I will have to say, but I did also have this element of realization that I didn't feel like that I was mentally addicted to it, if that makes sense. And then also, though, I saw how it failed my brother a lot of the time. So then I'm also not a fan of it in some respects, because I'm thinking I need to find a different way out of this. And also, of course, being told by a doctor, you really aren't an addict. No one was referring me to a 12-step program. I didn't abuse the medication, but my body was physically addicted, just like anyone on an addictive substance. So that's where it was a little bit different in my journey.
So you had developed a tolerance, but not mental obsession. Because some people did. They get on opioids and then they get taken off of them. And the next thing you know, they're out getting heroin. But
Yeah.
that was not your
Not my
experience.
experience personally. So it was a little bit different. However, I do have an addictive personality. I mean, I always have. I know it runs in our family, but I also feel that's where my biggest heart and purpose behind speaking about addiction lies. Is I personally, and this may be controversial, and a lot of people might not like my opinion on this, so I'm just throwing that out there right now. I don't like the saying, once an addict, always an addict. And the reason being is I truly feel that that was actually my brother's downfall, because he developed an identity of somebody that had an addiction, and he thought, I'm always an addict, Gina. And so in my energy work, in my exploration, I do believe you have to be aware of your addictive personality and mindset. It's not saying I don't have something that is always going to be a presence in my life that I'm going to work on every single day and that will always be a struggle for me. I am not saying that that is void. You
Right.
absolutely have to have that. But I feel like you can step into the identity of someone who's clean, like you. And that becomes your new identity that I feel we should embrace that much and stronger so that you walk through those days with the empowerment that this is the new me. This is not the old me that I'm carrying along and I have to drag this, weight with me and I'm going to have it the rest of my life. And I think that's where if we just change a tiny little bit of the mindset around it, we might see some people actually step into a higher form of empowerment to facilitate their healing and keep them clean longer. My brother started using at the age of 13, 14.
Mm.
And it was, of course, when Oxycontin came in. Well, we were targeted. I mean, when you really look into that, they targeted these blue collar communities. And Oxycontin came in when my brother was very young. So I was always already out of high school. Honestly, I can tell you, if I was in high school and those pills were at parties, I would have probably been led down the exact same road he was. I took one Oxycontin in my life after I had a root canal in my early 20s, and I have never felt more of an all over response to a medication. And my
Mhm.
brother actually ended up stealing them from me. So I never even got to take a second pill. But I can tell you from someone who's been on all of these different medications and strong things, that was an extremely addictive substance that was
Mhm.
above and beyond what anything I've ever experienced. And I've been on IV morphine in hospitals with having 4 baby C-sections. So IV morphine doesn't even give you what that pill gave you in that in that feeling. And so he's the absolute epitome of someone who got caught up in that at that age. And then of course the laws started kicking in, that drug was, starting to be regulated, and he turns to heroin. And then I don't feel he ever got an identity off of drugs. They took him at such a young age.
Right,
He always
right,
struggled to find who he was because everything he did in life, he did while under the influence of drug. Yeah.
right. God, that just breaks my heart. I get what you're saying because when I think once an addict, always an addict, what that means to me is that I can never forget. The idea that I'm not an addict would lead me to think that I could then take a drug and not be off to the races. And I have to remember that that's just not true for me. I just can't. Like when I go to the
Yes.
dentist, I have to be like, listen, I'm a drug addict and you cannot have narcotics. I can take painkillers clearly, but I cannot have narcotics because I can't risk it. And that is what once an addict, always an addict means to me. Not that I, like you said, I really identify like, there's nowhere I can't go. I'm not scared of drugs. My mother-in-law lives with me. She's 82 years old. She has dementia. She got a thing for White Claws. I have White Claws in my fridge. Doesn't bother me. I have no inclination to go have a White Claw. I'm fine. But I'm 6 years in. I've done the work. I've been through what I've been through. So it's not a threat to me. But I also know that if I were to have one of those White Claws, that would be a problem because I'm not going to just have one.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I like the way that you explained that. I like that a lot. I think that was very well said.
It's managing the underlying cause of the addiction, right? Which will always be there. That's where I do have to be careful. I do have to manage it. And it's no different than a food addict opening the fridge and seeing a whole entire cheesecake and not being able to stop at just one piece. It's
Right.
honestly the same thing. We all have an element of that, but yet does that food addict just decide, well, I'm always addicted to food and I'm always going to be heavy all the time
Right.
because
I'm
I
going to
have,
be heavy and unhealthy and
that's it. And they just decide that that's their identity and that they never do anything about it. So I guess it's where it's just you get to decide how much you identify with it, how much you want to carry over. And that you can embody that new identity really deeper to help carry you through recovery.
I think you're making a great point there. I love it when my points get validated. I have such a little ego. But the idea that, drugs and alcohol are not the problem, they're the solution, right? And we have to give people a different solution because you can get them off the drugs and alcohol. But if you don't get to that underlying trauma, those underlying problems, then when life happens, and life is going to life you. What's your solution? What are you going to do? You're going to run back to the only solution you know. So we have to get in there and give a different solution that people can go to besides drugs.
So the main cause of addiction, obviously, is when we are looking for that outside source to give us a feeling that we are not able to produce internally on our own.
Right.
Most of the time, when you look back, it is in early childhood based off of parenting issues, abuse, all of these traumatic events that we experience in our early years typically lead us down a road of wanting comfort, and we are never taught how to comfort and console our central nervous system ourselves, our mind, to be able to slow those racing thoughts. And it becomes almost impossible to drown out the stress and the noise. And we are going to seek whatever we can to shut it off by any means. And a lot of times that's how it starts. And you do get somebody clean, you walk them through all these things. And like you said, life is still throwing the shit. It's going to come. And if you are triggered by anything, it could be an argument, it could be traffic, it doesn't matter what it is, or a bad day at work.
Yeah.
You're coming home, and look at all the addicts out there that is what they seek. They look for that glass of wine when they get home from work. They look for that. And whether or not they realize it, they're seeking out that comfort and
Right.
just to be able to unwind because they've never learned how to kind of do that for themselves. So it's huge to go back, and that's where the hard work starts.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
where the hard work starts.
Stopping, abstinence, not doing the drugs, that's just the first part.
Yes,
That's the easiest part. Digging deep, get into that trauma, whether it's shadow work, whether it's 12 steps, whatever it is, that's where the real work is. That can be a scary thing for
it is.
people to try and deal with that deep seated trauma. Think people go through what they go through, and some people's stories are just nightmares. What human beings are capable of surviving. That's also a message I like to give addicts, is that okay, all of that all of that already happened, and you've survived it, and right here right now those things are not happening to you. We've got to get you to a place where that's not your filter, that
Yes.
everything that happens to you is filtered through that. We got to get rid of that, so you can be right here right now.
Because right here, right now is the only moment we actually have control over, right?
Yes, it's the only moment there is.
But living in that and being fully present in it is not an easy task to get to the point of doing that. And most people, addicts and non-addicts, we all reflect on the past, we dwell on the past, we're analyzing all these mistakes, and then we're worrying about the future. It's hard to feel safe enough to allow your mind to go back to open up to process that. In the clearing method, I feel it was
Okay.
just laid on my heart to create by a higher power. I'm just going to be honest. And when all of the pieces were laid out, I think they are hopefully a way that people doing this work can view some of these past traumatic events. Once they clear kind of the energetic imprint that takes a hold, then they spend some time clearing it. The noise starts to lessen, and you
Right.
start to feel safer and safer in your journey. Therefore, more and more things come up, and they are just observed, and you clear it. And then you allow so much more room for the joy, the peace, the contentment, and the happiness to start coming in. Then it gets easier and easier to live in the present because you've kind of removed this weight of the past in these layers as it comes up. It takes dedicated work. It doesn't happen in one session. It happens, week after week where you dedicate time to clearing the trauma and getting to the seeds of why everything started to unravel in the first place.
I love it. So tell me, what are the components of the method?
Okay,
Like
so
how, what is, like, if I wanted to do this, what would that look like for me?
Okay, so the method itself is 1 hour in length. And I did that because of how pressed for time everybody is, right? You tell someone they need to meditate and they're like, I can't even find 5 minutes to to do what I want, let alone you want me to meditate a half an hour a day. So I truly believe that this hour-long session gives you the feeling and results as if you spent a week meditating, but you only spent an hour. And it's not an hour in meditation. So the sessions start off with a little bit of movement, and it's not choreographed movement. It's literally, we do these sessions online. I do them in person in the Pittsburgh area as well. My son and I run them. We are both certified in an energy healing modality called pranic healing. It's been in
Okay.
the United States since the 80s. It's taught by Master Stephen Coe. That's who we were certified with. And he is Tony Robbins' kind of right hand spiritual guru, if you will. And that's how we got introduced to him. And then we went to different locations in the country and got different certifications over the last few years. And that is where we learned pranic psychotherapy. And
Okay.
it's learning how to help people remove the energetic imprints of trauma, specifically physical things as well. But I mainly focused on the psychological trauma because it was something that I had many different things in my past, from childhood sexual abuse to grief. I've lost 3 brothers in the last 4 years, a nephew, and lots of other events in my life that led me down some very dark times. And so this method, I feel, combines a little bit of different natural healing modalities. Breath work is focused on for at least 5 to 10 minutes of the session, and journaling. Journaling is focused on in 2 parts of the session. We journal to clear, because when we get the noise out and onto paper and we're making that intention that we want to remove these things, it has more of an energetic impact on our physical bodies and in this space right now. Some of the music is designed to help your brain open up. My son and I do make all of the music for the session ourselves. So we layer binaural tones, frequencies. We use the solfeggio scale. There's a lot of different layers to the background music that you'll hear in these sessions. And the journaling session in the beginning where we clear, it sounds that you'll just kind of start to open up. When we've done some of the sessions in person, I've looked over at my son and I'm seeing people like fiercely writing, and I'm like, wow, okay, the music's almost done. I'm like, I guess just play it again. Like, they're really
Let them roll with it.
we're getting some stuff out. And we ended up having to, the clearing part increased to almost 10 minutes sometimes. And these are fluid. We're facilitating them live. So if we see people, really into it, we can elongate the experience. However we do, it's kind of just intuitive in that respect. After we go through the clearing journaling part, we take people into some breath work. Somatic breath work is the foundation of the breathing techniques that we do. I have always found it easier to breathe in rhythm when I can hear the breath of someone guiding me. So we actually record our breathing onto the track. So if we were doing an inhale and exhale method, like you can hear that, so you're able to match your breath easier while we guide you through it. And breath
Okay.
work is extremely powerful in removing stagnant, stuck energy. I like this. We have a physical body and we have a mirrored energy body that's almost right on top.
Yes.
And it's like it aligns. And if you've heard of chakras and things like that,
Oh, girl,
yes.
I do Reiki.
Oh, pranic healing is very similar to Reiki. The only thing that my teachers explained differently is Reiki is more on sensation and feeling, where an engineer created this and you have a book to follow with like anybody could technically do pranic healing. It's like following a step-by-step recipe.
Right. Reiki's amazing. Reiki's amazing. And funny story. I think it's funny. My husband and I, on our honeymoon, we took a haunted tour of Tampa, right? We
Oh,
like horror
cool.
movies, stuff like that. So we decided when we got married, we weren't going to do a big thing. We were in our late 40s when we married. He's not my starter husband, but
I
um
just got rid of my starter husband a few years back. So,
yeah, he was somebody else's starter husband. Yeah. So when we got married, we lived near Tampa. I thought instead of like going to some crazy honeymoon, we decided that we would get a hotel for the weekend and we'd go to Busch Gardens. People come from all over the world to Tampa for vacation. So why don't we go be on vacation in Tampa and do what
yeah,
tourists do? Right.
absolutely. Right.
So on our wedding night, and this was during COVID, I booked us on a haunted tour of Tampa, which was very cool. This great lady walk us around Tampa, and we were the only people on the tour because it was COVID. So on our first anniversary, we thought, what, we could do a theme, like especially in Florida. There's so many different little haunted places. So we went to this little town called Casadega. And if you've not heard of Casadega, Casadega is there was a man, he came from New York, and he turned this entire town. It's supposed to be very spiritually energized.
Okay.
And it is where mediums, psychics from all over the world come to
Wow.
meet and hone their
Okay.
craft,
Oh,
right?
that's really cool. Okay.
Super cool. So we booked the haunted hotel there for a couple of days and we walked around town, and it's a really interesting experience. If you get an opportunity to go to Casadega, I recommend it. Absolutely. And while I was there, I booked us on a couples massage Reiki thing.
Mhm.
And when the woman did my Reiki session, it was the most amazing thing. And she sat down with me afterwards and she did a tarot reading. And what she was able to tell me about myself was really amazing, really amazing. And she said to me, she said, "You should be doing Reiki." Like
Oh,
she could
look at
feel
that.
that about me. And I'm like, and
Yeah.
she didn't know I'm already teaching yoga. I'm already teaching meditation. I'm working with addicts. Like she didn't know that about me. She was just like, there's something. And I was like, snap. So I looked into it. I was able to take a course. I was able to do what I needed to do. And I started working on people. I had to get like 50 hours of practice to get
Yes.
the certification, and the things that I was able to learn and feel on people and work with people, and the feedback that I got from the people that allowed me to practice on them was just amazing. And it's all about the outer energy. I work on aligning the chakras. I like when I'm doing Reiki on somebody, that's the whole thing. I get the frequencies going, I get the incense, I get the crystals, I get the singing bowls. I'm the whole hippy dippy thing. But I love it and it works. And if you don't think that it works, I don't know what to say. Don't have contempt prior to investigation.
Yes.
That's what I
That is
say.
the biggest thing. Having an open mind is
Yes.
all you need to do to explore it and see what resonates with you. There's so many different styles, but even if it's just a sound healing and not necessarily going all out, sound healings are so effective, and so many more locations across the United States, yoga studios are bringing in sound healers.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you are going to see a massive increase in this type of work, in this industry. And over the next 7 to 10 years, more and more of these businesses, healers, alternative treatment options are going to be popping up everywhere. So don't close the door to it if you've never experienced it before. Try it. then make up your mind for yourself. Don't let your past programming for programmed religious reasons. I grew up Catholic, and I can't tell you how much Catholic guilt I had to work on to get to the
My
point.
husband's a recovering Catholic.
I am a recovering Catholic. That's exactly what it is. Talk about the stuff we have to work on. I mean, there's so many layers to this, all of it, but that's exactly right. Don't let the past programming or the opinions of others dictate what you try. You are your own person. Go to that sound healing without guilt, without shame, and
Mm-hmm.
see how it feels to you. If you leave and you don't like it, no one's ever forcing you to go back. But if you leave and you feel a little lighter, then why not add something like that once a month to your self-care, to where you take some time to go inward? Because I do truly believe that we are all perfect. We're perfect beings. We just have been through so many different things in our human journeys that we forget that everything that we need to heal is actually within, but we seek everything from the outside when it's the going in that is the source, and tapping into the energy that's all around us that is within to truly, I believe, get to the point where you do experience, you know, fulfillment, inner peace, that joy, that enlightenment, if you will, where you're really a happy being most of the time, and you're not getting triggered. You're not feeling like life is overwhelming every day. You can take kind of what life throws at you and handle it with a clearer lens. It's not as
Right.
muddy. So that's, yeah, I think that's important. People to keep an open minded perspective, and you
Absolutely.
decide for yourself.
And we have to remember we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That's how I like to think of it. Now, is that true? I don't know, but it's how I like to think of it.
It is absolutely true. And I kind of call this schoolroom earth. And the colorful classroom is actually a group that I am starting to kind of revamp. And that's where you can learn about coming to free mini clearing sessions. We do hold monthly retreats, and those are where we do longer sessions, a little more
Now,
education around.
is this something where people have to go to where you are? You said this can all be done
So
online,
we
right?
do in person in the Pittsburgh area, but they are held online as well, because I want to make sure that it's available to anybody, no matter what part of the world you live in. So yeah, those are all done
Yay.
online as well.
Okay. So I feel like I interrupted you. So you do journaling and you do breath work. You do movement, journaling, breath work. Then what?
And then meditation at the end. The meditation part is a special clearing meditation that I developed, which is where you're going to do the inner clearing work. We journal on what we want to release, but we also journal with what we want to call in. This is like yin yang balance. So it is in giving that we receive, it is in releasing that we can bring in. So we journal on what we want to remove, and then we journal on what we want to call in, what we want to manifest, what relationships we want to heal. And both of those things that we journal are brought up in the meditation. So you almost have a fresh kind of action plan before we guide you in the meditation. You already know, okay, what was the first thing you wanted to clear? Then we're going to pull that up visually. We're going to see it. We're going to give you a technique to almost erase it. You're going to watch it
Okay.
dissolve. You're going to let it go. What's the next thing? It's almost like watching your life on replay on a movie screen, where we're taking you through techniques that help you energetically remove the emotional imprint that's attached to the memory itself. Then we visualize on a different color screen with some different visualization and imagery. What do we want to bring in? Let's get into the mindset and certainty that we already have it. I want you to feel like that future is already taking place and happening, to the point where we're helping you feel the feelings as if that's happening in real time. And that's actually the secret to manifestation. When we put pictures on a vision board, you can look and stare all day, every day at what you want. It isn't until you embody the energy and emotions of what you're trying to call in that you almost signal to the universe, I am really ready to receive this. And that's where I think it takes it up a notch to the effectiveness of being able to walk around during the day as your future self, and you're already embodying who you desire to be. That's where the identity comes in and the shifting in the mindset. And so we take you through all of those. And the very last thing we do is we teach you how to channel the excess energy that our human bodies cannot absorb during all this energy work. And we bless your loved ones. We bless the planet. We take it and we show you how to take that excess energy. Again, it is in giving that we receive. That's a crucial part to this method because it's a missing piece sometimes. And we do a little bit of movement after as well, because when you move before meditation and you move after, the energy can absorb faster. Your channels are open more to get more of it to come in. And then it absorbs deeper into a cellular level if we move our body a little bit after we meditate. So these are all little things that most people don't know. But so it's intention setting, journaling, breath work, meditation, movement, and then, channeling and doing some intentional blessing work. And it's all combined. And it leaves people feeling lighter for usually 5 to 7 days after.
So this is something that people do weekly, daily?
So in our sessions in person, obviously it's not like a recorded replay, but anybody that joins the paid group, if you do join us and you do reach out, we're in a little bit of a flux, but the new group, I want it to have the ability to host the replays. So you join us live for the session once a week, and then you can play it 7 days a week if you wanted to commit that much time. Let's say you didn't have time to do all the parts and you just wanted to watch the meditation part. You would just say, okay, that's a 15-minute, we'll go there. And you just do the meditation part that day. But it's actively then working on this healing. I kind of call it non-traditional meditation therapy because it isn't traditional. It is something that is a little bit different, but you can do it as often or as little as you want. The power in doing this work in groups, I think, is the one thing that so many people don't realize. That's also why I wanted to create a system that when we do it together, because when we collectively show up and say, we're going to heal together with people. And it's not like you even have to have cameras on or anything. This camera can be off and you can enjoy this whole session you could be dancing like a fool. No one's going to see you. So it's safe. And I wanted it to be like that as well. But the more people you get together where you set the intention that everyone joining in that session is going to get what they need out of it, and we collectively work as a group, all of it is way more effective than if you do this work on your own. So even when we have the replays available, I tell people, start it on the hour. Start it when the clock goes in the hour, because there could be someone somewhere else in the world who's starting it at the same time you are, and your energy is going to influence each other just because you're both doing it at the exact same time together. So that's one of the reasons why group meditation is even more powerful than if you've tried to do it on your own.
Right? It's like all that energy combines together and becomes greater than, the group is greater than the individual. Absolutely. I feel
Absolutely. Well, look at concerts. So many people don't understand why they love live music at concerts and events. The energy output from a mass crowd that is in a good mood and enjoying themselves, it's basically like church on steroids when you're in.
Yes.
Energetically, that is why so many people love being at events like that, because you're feeling the high vibrational frequency of everyone in attendance. And then don't get me started on the musicians, because I believe musicians are amazing light workers. My dad was a one-hit wonder in the 70s with a gold record and million copies sold.
Tell me what it was.
His band was called the Jaggers, and they sang The Rapper. It was a hit in 1970. It got to #1 on the charts. My youngest brother that passed away from the drug overdose, he was an incredible mandolin and guitar, acoustic guitar. And then my oldest brother, who also passed away, he didn't die of addiction, but he definitely died of mental health issues. So I will leave it at that. He was a musician as well, and him and my dad actually have a song on a Sopranos episode. In the background of one of the episodes, their music's playing in the restaurant when Tony's eating. So very musical family. That's also why I'm so passionate about hopefully working even closer with the creative community, because a lot of artists, I feel, have a slippier slope with addiction, and the creative brain and the creative mind lean so heavily on such a huge heart. They feel their emotions are so much greater. That's why these lyrics and beautiful creations can be created, but they feel the good just as large as they feel the bad. And unfortunately, we know how many musicians in this world have succumbed to addiction. So it is, I believe, one of the roads that they tend to go down. I know my brother said to me one time, I don't think my music is the same when I'm not on drugs. And so he also identified his musical ability when he was in that state. And then it even got to the point where, there were times my dad enabled because they'd have a job and he would need to give him money to get straight to do the job, like to have a wedding.
Yeah.
And I mean, so it was very, toxic cycle of this stuff in many different ways, but every family struggles individually on their own with their own things. I'm just hoping someday we have a specific outreach that is tailored for musicians in addiction recovery, because I feel it's almost like their brain needs nurtured in an even softer way than most. But
Maybe
I don't know.
so.
It's my just
Maybe so.
opinion of it. I don't know.
Well, people say addiction's a choice. People say it's a disease. It's a demon disguised as a disease that takes away your power of choice. And
Absolutely.
that demon feeds on fear and lies and anger, and it will lie to you. It will tell you, oh, you can't make good enough music unless you're high. You can't write
Right.
that poem unless you're high. That's a lie. That's a lie. But you don't know it's a lie because everything you wrote, you were high and it was good, and you're scared to do it without the drugs because what if it's not as good? Like
Absolutely.
it's bad,
It is a
bad scene.
massive struggle for so many creative people and artists and musicians. Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head. And I mean, don't we all have the demon and the other side as well, right? We
Yeah,
have the higher and the lower elements of, we lose control of being able to have that pause and be able to respond to something rather than react. It's like that muscle. And that's
right.
where I think addiction and anybody trying to control anxiety and depression and emotions and all of that stuff, we lose sometimes that ability to pause. I feel meditation is one of the easiest ways to get that back and to make that pause longer and longer and become someone who doesn't get triggered anymore and can be non-reactive in situations. After you do this work enough, you will find that ability grows and grows and grows. It's quite magical when you see it happen.
To not bother to be bothered, right?
Really.
That is a superpower. To just accept and not try to control the ocean, but learn how to surf. Acceptance is the key to serenity. All of these things that are cliches, but they're 1,000% true. My husband with the turn signals. He is the coolest, sweetest, nicest, most charming man you ever met. Let somebody not use a turn signal. I got to lace up. I'm always like, babe, I'm going to give you the magic words. So what?
Yeah. Yep.
So, okay, all right. So what?
So
How does that change the price of rice?
and let it go.
Let it
Just
go.
let it go. You have to let it go. As
Right.
we all know, it's easier said than done. But every time you gain that awareness, I meditate anywhere from an hour to 2 hours a day and have done that probably for 5 years. And I still today found myself in a situation that was extra stressful. I had a moment where I didn't have control over the emotions. It's never going to take it away. But I immediately snapped back like, whoa,
Mhm.
okay, you know what? And then I apologized. I said, listen, I made a mistake today. I made a wrong judgment call and I'm really sorry. But before I got that awareness and apologized, I kind of was like, "Bleh," and I had that minute of freak out. Well, I'm so sorry, and then I realized, but so it doesn't matter how long you do the work. However, you need to celebrate, even if it's after the blow up, even if it's after the lash out, no matter what, take a moment to apologize. I think that's huge. I don't think we do
Oh,
that enough as
yes.
society. I think so many people think they're not wrong. Even apologizing to your kids is huge. But then celebrating that you had the awareness to realize, okay, because next time you will have greater control. Next time you might not fly off the handle as soon. It's all part of the process.
Well, and you said that beautifully because I can remember a time in my life where if something happened at 8 a.m., at 8 p.m., I'm still mad about it. Right? And it
Yes,
has formed my entire day. Everything I've said and done has been now it's like, oh, I don't want to be like that. And that time that you spend in that negativity gets so much shorter. And you realize that this moment doesn't have to be the entire day.
yes,
It's just this moment. And now that moment's gone. We're in a whole new moment now. What are we going to do
right.
with this moment?
It's that being present, but it's also feeling through those emotions when they put you on benzodiazepines for mental health and anxiety. We learn to take the pill to make our feelings go away. I mean,
Mm.
we do. We get the tightness, we get the anxiety, and the doctors say, when that happens, go take that. And I understand medication helps many people, but for me, I didn't learn how to feel and release. It was like that was my trigger. Oh, well, we got to make that uncomfortable feeling go away. I have not had an anxiety or panic attack in 4 years. Anxiety started for me at the age of about 11 or 12, due to abuse in my past. I realized I had my mind programmed for anxiety all those years. And then around early 20s is when the medication came in, but I never learned how to process those emotions naturally.
Right.
It takes practice, and it takes, like you said, feeling, letting go, moving through it, recognizing and not allowing those feelings to stay and take a hold. It's about recognizing, clearing, and then deciding how you want to feel in any given moment.
I 1,000% agree. Absolutely. So, at what stage of a person's recovery would you recommend that they start incorporating this particular method into whatever modality they're using for their addiction recovery?
So, for this specific style of supplemental treatment, if you will, it can be brought in. I personally think the sooner the better, because this is something that helps non addicts just as much as it's going to help an addict. All it is doing is finding a softer way to balance our central nervous system response and to start getting our brain to produce the natural feel good chemicals on their own. When you look into the kind of damage that addiction does on the neurological pathways of our
Mm,
brain, the chemicals that we release, it takes time to heal those, but
absolutely.
they can be healed. You can create new neurological pathways that will wire and fire completely different, but that does not happen overnight. So when you start on this path of honestly wanting to change any habit, any behavior, any emotional response, it's going to feel like driving off the road where you're have these ruts and your car's comfortably in them, and then all of a sudden you veer off and you can feel that little jolt. It's going to feel like that in the beginning, but it only takes turning the wheel a tiny little bit to get you in an entirely different direction and to get you to the end goal faster, which is to gain your power back and to be able to decide more often how you move throughout your day. And
Mm.
so I feel this method could be utilized by honestly every human on the planet. And hopefully down the road, it'll even start at a younger age when I can develop one for youth and teens, because we are not taught this. We are
Right,
not
right.
taught how to deal with life's shit. We just
That's
aren't.
when you say that, it brings to mind how professional athletes will take yoga or ballet to be better athletes, right?
Yeah,
And how much yoga and meditation has been used to help soldiers that have PTSD. It makes me think of that. You could really branch out. There's a lot of organizations that help veterans that deal with
absolutely.
PTSD, and I just see that in my mind's eye for you.
There's so many. I think that's what's so beautiful about the method, about clearing. You can customize it and take it down all these different roads and make it tailored to the overall experience of that person, whether it's addiction, whether it's PTSD. I'm actually developing a meditation right now for a coach and collaboration that helps MS patients. And I'm
Awesome.
going to create a meditation that helps people get their mind off their symptoms and then helps them step into the identity of a body that is healed and suffering less. So
I
it's
love it.
all in customizing.
Mm.
There's been one thing that I feel I've been called to help people move through with all the grief that I've had to experience in just these last 5 years. I created a special grief meditation that I'm doing in a grief group that I have tomorrow. Some of these meditation clearing experiences can be so powerful. They can make you feel zapped, but that's because you're really moving the energy and you're getting it out. When you let energy go, not only do you feel this nice release, but it takes a little while to assimilate and process it and get back into it. So it's super powerful. It's so powerful.
I'm so excited. So tell me, what do people misunderstand most about using meditation for addiction recovery?
I think people have this sense of they have to quiet their mind. For me, and probably a lot of the population, quieting your mind is one of the most difficult things to do because it races rapid thoughts. I remember one time I had a medication that my body was physically addicted to, and I forgot it. And I went on a trip and I got on a plane. And yes, the doctors were able to get me more, but it was a window of time where my body started going through withdrawals. And when those come into play, the last thing you think you're going to be able to do is quiet your mind. I mean, you are
Oh,
just
sure.
fixated on one thing, and it is getting your body out of that pain. And so that's the last thing on earth that people think they're going to be able to do. And so when you bring meditation into addiction recovery or into anyone's life, it's teaching them in the beginning that it doesn't have to feel difficult and hard, but sometimes we have to start in a very small way, like a 1 minute guided meditation where we're not making you sit in silence. We're walking you through where words are constantly being said so that you can focus and then softly go into a little bit more or a little bit less. And knowing that the purpose isn't to shut your brain off, because it's not going to happen at first. And just because you tried it once and it felt uncomfortable, you tried one style and you tried one
Right.
time. You didn't try all the different styles. So there's so many out there. If you just know that you couldn't tell your heart to stop beating, so don't try to tell your mind to stop thinking. You just go into trying meditation with an open mind and try different styles. There's variations with the ones that even I've recorded. One just focuses on breath. My son created a course specifically for people with ADHD because he suffered with that for years. And he has a 1 minute meditation, a 2 minute, a 3 minute, a four
Mm.
minute, a 5 minute to gradually step them up by 1 minute every week. So you can really ease into this. If you sit down and it feels uncomfortable, don't write it off.
I agree.
Keep going back, because there will be a moment when it clicks and you feel this sense of, oh my gosh, that's what meditation was supposed to feel like. Everything has its balance, and we
Mm.
have to all navigate that. Even the good feelings, it's going to be a constant journey of discovery and learning that never ends. We don't graduate from schoolroom earth. I look at it as we're the student, we're the teacher, and we're the bus driver that takes us everywhere. We got to be really careful about who we let on, who
Absolutely.
stays on our bus when they shouldn't be there, and which direction you're going to drive your bus in. So, if you've never heard of the scale of consciousness, it's one of the things I teach in our retreats. The lower vibrational ones are guilt and shame and fear, a lot of the emotions that cause people to use and to seek outside substances. And then you have your higher vibrational emotions, which are, peace and joy and love and happiness. I think of it as like a speedometer. Which direction is my bus being steered in? And how do I turn it in a different direction? And how quickly can I turn it in that direction so that I can raise my own vibrational frequency as to not spend too much time down here? Because when we spend it in lower emotions, that's when we stay in the dark and all of the color lives on the other side of it.
It's interesting you say that. We think low frequency, we think maybe things like anger, but no, because those are passionate emotions. But when you're feeling guilt and you're feeling shame, which are really useless emotions, it's not a call to action. It's a woe is me kind of mindset. The quickest way to raise your frequency that I have found, gratitude. Start listing, saying out loud what you're grateful for. Even if it's the simplest, I'm grateful I could see. I'm grateful I could walk. I'm grateful the sky is blue. I'm great until you start getting to the more esoteric gratitudes. But the most basic, simplest things will help to raise your frequency, to get you out of that and up into here, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
I was recording that meditation in our studio, and my son's office chair is broken. So when you sit in it and you try to move, you can't. It sometimes scrapes you on your heel and it hurts really bad. So I tried to push in. I forgot that it did that. My heel scraped and I was like, oh, this chair, and I start getting frustrated. And then all of a sudden I stopped and I was like, I'm so grateful that we have a chair to sit in to record these beautiful meditations from. And I immediately did that and he starts laughing. So it's catching yourself and doing that transition immediately, because I am grateful to have that chair. I'm blessed to have that chair. When we complain, we're keeping ourselves in those lower vibrational frequencies. Other ways to raise your vibration are finding the music that does lift you up. We all know there's music that changes our mood. Different scents can do that. I actually go into in a vision board course that I created, olfactory anchoring, where we anchor a scent to the emotion that we want to trigger. Because think of when you smell an apple pie and you're instantly transported back to the memory of maybe your grandma cooking an apple pie and it brings a happy feeling or a nostalgic feeling. We can use scent to raise our vibrational frequency if we anchor the scent with the emotion that we want replicated. So if you are having a great and freaking fantastic day, buy one candle. And when you're feeling that, you're feeling accomplished, take a little smell of that candle and sink into the gratitude. And then when you are having a weaker moment, associate it. Smell that smell.
I love it. That makes so much sense.
Yes. It really psychologically, the neurological pathways in our brain, that's how they work. And believe it or not, when it's scent based, there is zero capability for it to get stuck in something being analyzed. It will transport you back instantly. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'm 51 years old. I've been on the planet long enough to know that what you're saying is true.
It's funny. It's wild. Yes. Well, a song can transport you back too, right? Like the song can trigger the memory.
Oh, yes.
So there's so many ways to use these little things to aid recovery, to aid just moving around in life and having it be a little easier. So one of the techniques that a recovering addict can do is create their future life vision board. And I'm going to teach this little trick right now to do once a day in the morning. I want you to take pictures that represent your absolute future goal. If you see yourself getting a new job, being able to get the house, being able to establish healthy relationships, find images I find images all over Google and I just put them in a photo editing app, and then I get them printed at Staples on paper, just a color thing, because we don't print pictures out anymore. And it's not like we
Right,
have
right.
magazines to cut out anymore, but the imagery is powerful. So take those pictures that align with your future self, put them up where you can see them. I want you to put the emotions that you're going to feel when you feel these things: freedom, peace, inspiration, gratitude, obviously, huge one, love, whatever. I want you to draw a squiggly line around all of the pictures. And that's the energy field that represents everything that you see yourself attaining.
Like the aura
Like,
around it.
or yes. And then when
Okay.
you stand in front of it every day, you're going to pick a song. It's going to be one song. And I want that song to be something that just makes you feel like you can conquer the world. I actually do this once a year. I pick a song of the year. Actually, in December, the week before Christmas and New Year, I have all kinds of things that I always do with my kids. And it's reflection on the year. We get photos together and see everybody's things. But I pick a reflection song of the year too, almost like what was my theme song for the year, lessons I learned, things
Okay.
like that. And then I ask my kids to do the same and we share. So when you play this song in the morning, I want you to play it while looking at the images and thinking in your mind that your energy field is aligning with that energy field, and just
Okay.
feel
Like
the
through the
song
music.
through the
Like the
music.
music's carrying the
Yes, it's
energy.
connecting.
I love it.
It's amazing. I will tell you, it is one of the most fantastic ways to start your day and take a few intentional minutes to lift your frequency, get you in a good mood. You're spending time intentionally visualizing as if you already, and I go an added step. I put pictures of my loved ones up there because I want to open my heart. And it's easier for me to connect to love, peace, and gratitude if I look at the people who make me feel that instantly.
Aw.
So I have not only the physical things I want to get, but I have them, I have the emotions, I have the energy field, and then I pull it all together with a song. And it's extremely powerful.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Will you do this? I'm going to challenge you. I want you to suggest some songs for this playlist for life.
I already have it. Already
I
have a
felt like
document.
you would.
I had people tell me what their songs were and then I compiled a list. So yeah.
It's awesome. What advice would you give to someone who wants to get sober, but they're like, I'm not doing a 12-step program? What would you say to them?
Start down that path of recovery in whatever means necessary. If you close the door on a 12-step program, I believe you have to be more vigilant. Like, you have to be a little more creative, and you have to have a little more probably willpower and, that internal strength to every day step on the floor when you take your feet out of bed and you adopt that new identity and you want to stay in it by any means necessary. So that means figuring out where are your, where are your holes? Where do you need safety nets in place? If you're not going to have a sponsor, all right, who's the friend you're going to call? Because we can't go through any of it alone. No one should go through life as alone. As humans, we are meant to be connected. We're meant to be partnered. We're meant to have
Absolutely.
people around us. So we have to draw on that and maybe start creating this plan, that whatever plan you want, your plan of attack, but then when something fails or something doesn't support you, you almost have to have an extra hyper vigilant lens on of analyzing what's working and what's not day to day. And the minute you see something not working, it's instant hat on discovery mode. What can I replace? What's the new approach? How do I change it? And then if you constantly view it as, no matter what, I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to find a different way, find a new approach, and you make that end goal as just something that will always be a moving target, and you adopt that, this is going to be something that I have to work on every single day of my life. We all have to work on all of these things anyway. I look at addiction treatment, everyone can benefit from all of it. No matter if
Absolutely.
you're an addict or not, that shouldn't be kept just for addicts. So I feel like you get to decide what your treatment path is. There are so many, many natural ways to do things and blended ways. I worked with doctors to get off of the physically addictive medicines. And, it's communicating what you want. And if a doctor isn't on board with your wishes, it's finding a different doctor to find someone who is, because ultimately you get to decide for yourself how you want to move forward with your treatment. But as long as that end goal remains, that you are committed to changing your life, to finding happiness, to being fulfilled, and to living a peaceful existence, because it is possible no matter what you've been through, no matter how heavily addicted you are to any substance. There is a clear path, and there is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There really is, if you stay at it long enough and you work hard enough.
Absolutely. No matter what it is, it takes action. Have you ever heard of the story of the three frogs on the log?
You're gonna have to refresh my memory, but ahead.
You're going to love it. So there's three frogs sitting on a log.
Okay.
One of the frogs decides he's going to jump off the log. How many frogs are on the log?
Two, I would say, right?
Three, because all he did was make a decision. He didn't take any action. He's still sitting on the log.
See, okay. I didn't catch it. Yeah, it is a trick question. I get it, and I knew it was, and I still couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, we torture newcomers with that. When we get to
Love
step
it.
3, every time you make a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of God as you understand Him, now what?
That's
I
good.
could decide I'm going to go on vacation this year, but if I don't buy the tickets, I don't make the itinerary, I don't.
And that's actually one of the biggest manifestation secrets, is showing the universe that you are actively taking action. So that listening to that song every day and that intentional alignment is the action piece. You're not just looking at that picture and hoping that that happens. You are taking action, but it's just like the saying, faith without works is dead. And so you
Yes.
have to do the work. You have to show the universe, the higher power, that you want this and you are willing to take that action. And then it will align to meet you.
Oh, yeah.
It will align to meet you, and it will support you. And that higher power, that force, is with us always. And we can ask for their help all the time. I view it as a spiritual team. And I teach this in the method because, to me, being someone that wants to work smarter and not harder, and also having 4 kids, owning multiple businesses, I want the biggest bang for my buck. So
Absolutely.
you tell me that the more support that I can call in, the easier and faster this road's going to be for me, then I'm going to do it. So before my meditations, I call in archangels, spiritual helpers, saints of every tradition out there. I don't care who it is. Come all in and
Hedge those bets.
help me. Help me. Just say, hey, if you're on there and you serve my greatest, highest good, and you serve the greatest, highest good, come on in and help me with this meditation session. Come on in and help me through the day. Come on in and help me through the next half hour.
Yeah.
They can't work unless you ask. We have to constantly ask for that support. So it doesn't matter what religion you identify with or what you believe in, as long as you believe that there's a higher power, just ask to tap into that higher power throughout your day more often, and watch your life dramatically change in record time.
I can attest, I
Yeah.
stay praying.
Yes. Yes, it's crazy. I do it all the time. If I'm sitting down to write an article, if I'm sitting down to do something, help me write. Lay the words on my heart that other people need to hear. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's so many ways to tap into it.
I think you should definitely look into doing that here in Florida. And to entice you, we have beautiful beaches here. This is an open canvas kind of place. You could do things in Florida. I am very close to Tampa, Ybor City. We have this whole area that is very open, very let's try new stuff, yoga community. So you might just find exactly what you're looking for right down here.
I will keep that in mind. I am always open for any proximity to the ocean.
It's right there.
I love to share this tidbit because so many people don't know it. I love being near the ocean. I feel like I can relax near the ocean. Obviously, there's an energetic magnetic property to such a large volume of water and the way the tides and all of that stuff. But water absorbs negative energy and salt breaks it down. So it's the high concentration of salt water. When we do pranic healing treatments, we dispose of the dirty energy in salt water. Another thing that people don't realize is holy water is actually salt water that is just blessed by the priest. So this has so many different encompassing meanings, but you can mimic the ocean at home by putting 1 to 2 cups of salt in your bath. And this is not Epsom salt, though. That's not going to be the type of salt that gives this same energetic effect. You want to go to Home Depot, Lowe's, get a 40-pound bag of water softener salt.
I get those bags.
So I take 2 intentional cups of that and I put it in my bath once a week and I soak for about 20 minutes. Remember, everything is intention. I want you to envision that all of that darker energy, the negative energy, the stress energy looks like little clouds, and the clouds stay and dissipate in the water. And when you get out, they stay. And I will tell you what, you will feel lighter. You will feel like you took a trip to the beach every week, and you can mimic the energetic cleansing effect the ocean has right in your own home, no matter how far away you are from the ocean.
I believe that.
It's
I
a
believe
regular
that.
part of my practice, once a week, salt baths. It's
And you
great.
know, people that live on the beach, think of your surfers. They're
Yeah.
just a more laid back, peaceful kind of chill. Like I said, you can't control the ocean. You have to learn to surf, right?
And their energy body's getting cleaned every day. Like,
Right, right,
so of
right.
course they're going to be more calm.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Where can people connect with you or learn more about this recovery path?
The main places that I nurture are Facebook and TikTok. On Facebook, I am under Colorful Living with Gina Marie. Don't forget to sort by pages because it is a business page. And then on TikTok, it is just Colorful Living with Gina, all one word. And then you are going to have access to my link tree, which I use kind of in place of a website because it can direct you to all the different things and programs like our next retreat, our grief group, our school group. There's so many different groups on there and links to all the socials anyway.
Fantastic. So if anybody out there, if you have any comments, questions, I will have all of that information down in the description, and I encourage you to check it out. It's awesome, and I believe that it's going to go a long way to helping a lot of people for a very long time.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to Starve the Demon. If this hit home, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and share it with somebody who needs it. Recovery isn't one size fits all, but it is possible. Stay strong, stay curious, and whatever you do, keep starving the demon. Love everybody. Let God sort them out. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much.